We're going to talk about Disney Plus. That's what we're going to talk about. Ahsoka is over, Ryan.
Well,
It's
sort
over.
of.
Well, season 1 of Ahsoka is over. 8 episodes, probably 6 hours content.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's tough to figure out what ratings are because the studios suck at that.
Yeah.
And, part of the strikes we have going on, actually, streaming numbers. We talked after 2 episodes, and we both liked it.
Yeah.
We talked after 4 episodes, I think, and we still liked it. Now we're through 8. It's done. It's done. So, I'll start easy. Are you content with these 8 episodes?
Only in the sense that I know it's not over, I guess.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
If that makes sense.
That actually makes perfect sense. Which leads me to my next question then. Are you dissatisfied with these 8 episodes, knowing that it's not the end?
No. No. I mean, we've talked about issues in pacing and sort of things. I didn't think this was nearly as problematic pacing wise as some of the other Disney Plus series have been.
Yep.
I do. I mean, if you want to be oversimplistic, it took 8 episodes for 2 people to swap places with 2 other people. But
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, there's a certain balance that needs to be maintained.
Sure, here it is. Yeah. But no, I generally speaking, yeah, I'm okay with what they did. The end was maybe a little anticlimactic, but again, realizing, well, that's not really the end. And there's, I guess there's sort of a cliffhanger there. Maybe not as I don't know, as gripping as it could have been, but
it's not an "I am your father" kind of
correct.
cliffhanger.
It's more like, okay, well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Rather than guys dangling and will they live? Or anyway, but yeah.
No, the thing for me is, as you said, we talked about pacing. We talked about some of the complaints that I had about the Disney Plus Marvel shows was that they tended to be backloaded.
Yeah.
If it was 8 episodes or if it was 10 episodes, you waited till the last episode and a half for anything to happen. This Ahsoka, for me, is problematic in that I liked what they did. There's a lot of cool bits and cool lore. And no, I'm not the guy that's watched all 7 seasons of Clone Wars and all, 5 seasons of Rebels or whatever it is. I haven't done that. I'm still working that. So I'm not even steeped in the lore. So even the stuff I don't understand, I enjoyed enough. My problem is that not that this is end loaded. I do feel like there's a lot of dead space in here. In that they could have given us backstory in a lot of these dead zone areas, or they could have expanded some character moments. But I know with 12 seasons of television and whatnot of character development on these people, but these are really new characters because it's so long after all of those animated shows. So for me, like I said, there's some cool bits, there's cool lore, there's good action. I love the action sequences, and yet I still can't help but feel that this series overall is lacking a bit. And I'm not necessarily a fan of the way it ended, because you're right, it took 8 episodes to get to just a simple positional reversal of our leads, and that's after we. One of those is only, 2 of those are only in the show for 3.5, 4 episodes. So it's a weird dynamic. I liked it. The problem is that there should be more to it. and that's where I'm at. I just feel like I don't know what Filoni, if he knows he has a season 2, just make one long season and space it out. But we're going to wait probably a year and a half for season 2 at this point. And then by then, I mean, Disney has done this with so many shows. They burn a lot of audience goodwill. Now, granted, the strikes aren't necessarily their fault, so that delay isn't necessarily their fault. But I feel like they continue to try to milk the audience attention more than they should. They should be in the give the audience content they want to consume mode, not whatever it is we want to call what they're doing now. Because, like I said, it's good, but the problem is that I don't dislike anything about the content that they've given us, except that it feels incomplete, I guess, is the easiest way to put that.
Well, there's a lot of setup in this, and not knowing what the master plan looks like. I don't know if there'll be an Ahsoka season 2 or if it will be picked up, in a different series, or how they're going to do that. Mostly I was all right with Ahsoka. There were parts that I really liked, and maybe there were a couple little lulls here and there, but I think that's unfortunately the nature of they're still working out, and they, not that they should be, but it seems like it's not just Star Wars, it's not just Marvel. It seems like a lot of people are just working out how to do series.
If only there wasn't already a streaming model that showed them how to do that.
Well, yeah, but but none of them can do that. None of them can look at the other guys. You know what I mean? They're notorious for not learning from other people's mistakes. That's just, they have to make it themselves.
But for some reason, Netflix manages to do it. They manage to have event streaming television.
Sure, but not always. There's plenty of garbage on Netflix that was intended to be that didn't turn out to be that. So yes, they do probably get it right more often than a lot of the other folks, but I don't know. I mean, I think Apple probably does it better than.
We've talked about Apple.
Anyway,
but Apple's not churning stuff out by the, pardon the pun, by the bushel.
No.
So
and I think that they're smart in that regard. Well, when they have something good, they'll go with it.
Right?
Like physical. They've gone.
I know. I still need to watch. There's our tangent. Yeah. I still need to watch season 3 of.
But so maybe they need to figure out how to give us what what audience what it wants more quickly, rather than we didn't necessarily need all of Book of Boba Fett. We just really all we wanted was those last couple episodes. So maybe
the first couple and the last couple.
Yeah,
the middle part we didn't really need.
It's so maybe they need to figure out how to get to the point, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they know what people want. I think studios right now they don't even know what people want, because they give you what they think you want, and it doesn't make any money. But
Well, I don't even know that that's the case, but we've talked about that too. I had an idea while we were watching the Ahsoka finale here the other night. And I thought, what would make great, and I don't know who would actually have the balls to try this, but I'll bet Netflix might, Apple might, but Apple's not really big enough, so I don't know that it would make the impact. So Stranger Things season 5 comes, right? And now, instead of dropping the episode on whatever night at this time, they drop it at this, they drop it 2 hours later for streaming, but at the drop time, it's a stream only. It's literally it's like linear television. And it's like at
Yeah.
9 o'clock it starts streaming. So if you've clicked on it, you'll be in a queue waiting for it to start. And then it's like an event. You can't come in, or if you come in 15 minutes late. So that if you're not there at the time it starts for that premiere, so you actually premiere it like you would a YouTube streaming episode. And if you come in after the start, you've come in after the start until the actual streaming availability window starts. And you do that every week. So then it becomes event. It becomes like, thank God it's Friday. Used to be on NBC. Where if you weren't in your butt if your butt wasn't in your seat at 7 o'clock, you missed the start of the show. But then 2 hours after that, then you just make it available for streaming, for your on demand. It's like, I think that would I would love for someone to try that, but you have to do it with a show like Stranger Things or Mando season 4 or Ahsoka season. You'd have to do it with something big, just to see what kind of response you would get, because even if you dropped 2 ad breaks in an hour-long show for that, if you got a good response, now you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. You're getting streaming and ads, and you're getting people all watching it at the same time. And I'd be interested to see an experiment to see how that works, because you could even drop it on like a Sunday night, when everyone's home.
Wasn't that what kind of? Well, I mean, Game of Thrones was that way.
Yeah, but that was already on, but that was on linear television.
But yes. So to your point, I guess it has been. It's amazing how much the landscape has changed in just the last 5 years.
Yeah.
In regards to that.
But hey, look, if you enjoy what you're seeing and hearing on the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast, why not take a second to click subscribe if you're on YouTube, click follow wherever you're listening to us, follow us on Twitter at VS Movie Podcast, same over on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, it's Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. That would be awesome for us. We appreciate you listening, and now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they definitely need to figure out a way to, the engagement needs to, the shared experience.
Because there are people that will they'll wait for Ahsoka hit it for us. It hit at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So at 7 you could be on Disney Plus. Boom, start to watch it. But it's not must watch television. So, but if you did it, the premiere like a linear television was, you would actually make it must see for those people that must see it first thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'd be interested to see. I think it'd be a cool thing to try. But in terms of Ahsoka now and Disney Plus, like I said, I've already seen the headlines. I saw a headline that called Ahsoka garbage crap. Made for the slapping seal crowd. I've talked about the hate industry before online, and I don't get it, and I don't know who's watching it and who's consuming that stuff. But if it's people that are watching the show, you're either so dumb that you're being led around by those people that are telling you that this show sucks, or you're not watching the show. So why do you care? You know what I mean? I don't understand. I understand why people like if something is continuously the best thing ever or the worst thing ever, that's what gets the attention. And that's what sorry, tangent. There are reviewers out there that everything is the greatest thing ever. Everything can't be the greatest thing ever. You're just trying to bump up whatever, whether you're a quote unquote shill, whether you think you're a shill, whether you want to be a shill, or whether you just can't objectively look at things and say that there are things wrong with it. I don't know. Yeah. But I hate those reviewers that to whom everything is the bestest thing ever. Conversely, I hate those that think everything is garbage. Not everything is garbage. There's garbage out there, but not everything is garbage. So I don't consider Ahsoka garbage. I think it's better than Kenobi.
Yeah, I do
Um,
too.
I don't think it's Mando season 1 and 2 good.
Not at this point,
I
but it's
don't.
also it's a bigger scope then. It's a more difficult. Although I guess you could argue that it's also dealing with characters that are established, and
Yeah,
and I don't know, maybe part of the thrill of the Mando first season was getting to know Mando.
right.
um, and we don't get that opportunity here, obviously. um, but
Unless you're like me and you haven't watched every episode of the animated stuff, and then you have to
yeah,
learn who these characters are.
to a certain, yes. um, yeah, I don't know.
And
I
if
don't
you
know.
haven't read the Thrawn books, you don't really understand how terrifying that man is.
Not yet, no.
No, no, you don't yet. But if you have read those books, then you understand how terrifying he can be. And so yeah, so
Yes.
that adds a little bit. And for a minute, when he showed up, was it Lars Mikkelsen? Is Thrawn? He showed up. I was like, man, this is just a really, really bland performance. And then the other half of my brain slapped me. It's like, dude, Thrawn he doesn't
Yeah,
emotionally up or down.
no.
He's the evenest of even keels.
And that's his
Um,
strength.
and
Yeah.
that's his strength. So in the with the one breath, I was like, man, this is really flat. But I was like, oh no, wait, that's everything's turning. It's all behind his eyes. That's where all of his motion and emotion is between the ears. It's not outside. He never. I think if you ever broke him and got him to raise his voice, I think that would be a win. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah. So in the second breath, I had to correct myself. But I don't. Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know if this is as good as Andor to me. I know some
I
people
mean,
didn't like Andor. We both liked it.
I love Vandor.
Um,
um, but
but
I do. I mean, I think it is. We're seeing it's harder to. I I guess the Force is a hard thing um, to really do, because once all the mystery's gone, it's not nearly as interesting as it was when we had no idea.
right,
And so the more story you get, with the Force, and the more what the mythos is explored, and all that, so it loses some of that mystery.
right.
Um, and Andor doesn't have to worry about that, because it isn't exploring that. It just needs to be an exciting, action,
Spy thriller kind
espionage,
of
or
thing.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I was I liked Ahsoka quite a bit, but I also will acknowledge that it's partially because I like the character quite a bit.
Yeah.
And getting to see some of the extension was enjoyable, because it was, I mean, look, if you run into an old friend,
Right.
it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's, even if it's the most boring experience you ever have, it's kind of cool, because you were, ran into an old friend.
Yep.
Um, so I feel like maybe I'm not. I absolutely don't think it's terrible.
No.
Um, I, I,
It's definitely not terrible.
so, but it doesn't surprise me that someone would say it is. But there's a reason why I've strayed radically away from a lot of online stuff, and it's because of that. And it's kind of weird to say, because I do reviews that are posted online and whatever, but um, the conversation that is possible to have, I guess, right now is not interesting to me.
Yeah.
The conversation that is happening most of the time, I don't care to be a part of. And you're right. It's this extremism. It's reflected in not just film reviews and things. It's kind of, you know everywhere. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm definitely far more positive on this than I am negative. I do wish it. There were things that I would have done differently. There are things that I do wish that it had something of a better um, cliffhanger that I was really like. I mean, I know what's coming is bad,
Yeah.
but give me a taste, just something, like Thrawn's initial attack, surprise attack on the city, and just decimate. Let's set the bar up really high, and make him the monster that he is, rather than just saying, well, something bad is coming. Um, I guess I don't know.
Yeah, the cliffhanger is where it's not even a cliffhanger. It's a cliff sitter.
No, and I'm going to be honest. I don't know exactly what comes next.
No,
I would
because
hate
it's
to.
like I don't know how.
I don't. So yes. With that, obviously, I don't want to go into spoilers on this one, but yeah, I mean, fundamentally, it's like, okay, so where does the story go from here with these characters, or do these characters exit and it turns over to these characters? Um,
Which
Not
I
knowing. Hmm.
then you shouldn't really call it Ahsoka then. You know what I mean? That
Well, it's Ahsoka because it's hers, and then the next one would be, I don't know, but I mean, there's a lot of arguments that you can make, all over
yeah,
on that one.
that's yeah.
Um,
It's
I
it's
mean,
it's weird. The series construction, but again, it's Disney's penchant for incompleteness, I guess,
yeah,
uh, or lack of long term planning. Like I said, I like what they had. Like I said, I like this. I do. I enjoyed Ahsoka quite a bit. Like I said, I liked seeing there. There's force bits that I'm not familiar with the world between worlds except what I've picked up online. It's like,
sure,
okay, I'll buy it. Makes sense. I'm cool. You go there, great. But there's still silly Star Wars moments in this.
yeah,
Not least of which is escaping the Empire and landing on an Alliance or a New Republic base and coming out of your ship in Stormtrooper armor when you can just take it off and walk out and not have everyone pointing guns at you. The second dumb thing is not shooting the Stormtrooper as soon as he comes down the ramp of the ship. You know, that's I 60 people somebody was going to fire, but nobody did. Why? Because it's a cute little dramatic reunion moment.
yeah,
So stuff like that bothers me. It's those cutesy little Star Wars moments that bother me a little bit just creatively, but I understand that moment had to happen, the reunion moment. I just think it was handled not greatly. But yeah, overall, I think I'll tell people I like it. I like Ahsoka. I could like it more. Um, but I could like it a whole lot less
sure,
than I could like it more. I'm
yeah,
definitely on the
right,
on the plus side of the scale.
yeah,
So um, that is where so that's done.